Another important thing in the fire scale is the configuration. If we go to configuration, we will find that everything in the fire scale is configurable, okay? For example, the labels. We don't have any labels. So for example, I can add a new label. In some projects that I worked on, we had 3 labels. We had not automatable. So this is a test case that I cannot automate, okay? I must test it manually. And we had one that's called automated or not automated. So this was a project that I worked on. Yes, not automated. Where is it? Not automated. Sometimes the tool does, okay, it is already created, but he doesn't show it. This is a bug in the tool. So like you see, automated, not automated, and not automatable. So in test case, when we create it, it is either not automated, and then we investigate the test case. Is it automated or not, or it is not automatable? And in this case, I know how many test cases are automated, how many are not automated, and how many I can't automate, okay? Then we have iterations. For example, I can add an iteration or a sprint here. So the priorities here, we have high, normal, low. I can change their names. I can add, for example, critical, okay, and give it a new color, for example, black. This is also configurable. And what is the default? You see the default is normal, okay? So I can change the default label. Also the test case, we have 3 status: draft, depreciated, or approved. But this is not only the available status. I can, for example, say it is either draft or approved. So here I disabled depreciated, or I can add a new status, okay? The same with test plans, test cycles, not executed, in progress, done. We can change them. Test executions. So if you don't have a blocked status, or you have another status, let's say, for example, partially paused. This is just an example, okay? And we give it this label, add. This can also be done. And also we have custom fields. So for example, the test case, it has a fields, right? I can add a field. We have precondition, we have steps, we have actual and expected result. Here I can add a field. Let's call it, for example, device, and we choose a type. Let's make it just single line. Add. So here, if I go back to my test cases and add a new test case, you will find that there is a device that can be added as a text, okay? So another thing here is the steps. You can choose also another thing inside them, the cycles. You can add a field in the cycle, okay? So we can make it, for example, device, okay, devices, and we can make it, let's say, checkbox. No, not a checkbox. We can make it select list, okay, and we can say, for example, Samsung A53, Oppo A3s, Redmi 10C, iPhone 13 Pro, iPad 2020. This is just an example, okay? So those are my devices. What did I do from this? I added a custom field to my test cycle. So if I go back and go to my test cycles, here my regression, the good thing here is that inside the test cycle, you have a field that's called devices, okay? It is not added. Let's create a new cycle, okay? New test cycle. So here it should have devices. So it doesn't have devices yet. Let's go back to configuration, test cycles. Okay, it is not added. So sorry, devices. Let's add them again. Add. So it is added. No, I don't need this field. Let's delete it. Devices. And let's make it select list, multi-choice. Oh, I didn't add here. Okay, so I clicked on this add, but I didn't click on the add at the top. So let's say Samsung A53. Let's say Oppo Reno 7, Redmi 10C, iPhone 13 Pro, iPhone 12 mini, iPad 2020 Pro. Okay, and let's add them. So this is the devices. Another thing, for example, let's say version. I will tell you what do I mean by this. So we can make it also select list, multi-choice, and we can say Android 11, Android 12, Android 13, iOS 15, iOS 16, iOS, let's say, or iPad OS 16, iPad OS 15, okay, and we can add. And then for example, let's say browser, and we can make it also multi. I make it multi-choice because, for example, you can run the same test case on 2 devices. Sometimes we create 2 test cycles, and each one of them for a specific device or a specific operating system or version or browser. But here, what I'm meaning is that I will run the same test case on 2 devices or 2 browsers. So here, let's say Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. This is just an example. Add. So here, if I go back, I think it is added. I hope. Yes. Okay. It is added only in this project. Okay. If I go back to my test cycle and now go to for regression test, click on its name. So here, like you see, we have our devices. I will tell him, okay, this cycle, we will run it on Samsung and iPhone 13 Pro. This cycle will be run on Android 13, iOS 16, and it will be run on Chrome and Firefox, for example, or Safari and Chrome on Android and iOS. And this is very important. So, for example, the test leader or the test manager, if we have a classification of roles, will create the test cycles, and each test cycle will have its devices, its environment, its network type. You can add a network type, for example, 3G, 4G, 5G. And then the person who is responsible of executing this cycle will begin to run it based on the devices or the environment that is specified by the test manager. And after this, any failed test case, we should begin to write defect reports for it.